Hello everybody, Chaz Larch here, and we're back after a bit of an extended break, caring for a family, doing lots of other things, trying to get well, but here we are. Anyway, on the bench we've got a radio that I picked up from eBay for next to nothing. It's an old Grundig Yacht Boy 1100, and it's got a number of problems. To start off with, when I first tested it, there was no sound coming out of it at all, but I plugged in a headphone into the speaker socket on the back. I've got a little bit of sound come out of it, pulled the headphone out, and I'm now getting a hum, if nothing else. And it is just trying to tune in a little bit on medium wave. You can see this, the signal level is changing there, so it is, the radio is working, but it's mainly the audio output stage. There's just a hum, as you can hear, just a hum. The volume control doesn't do anything, tone control doesn't do anything, so I think I'm going to strip it down, see what I can find about trying to get it working. Some of the things that are pretty obvious are the switches on here. If I switch different things, it does crackle differently, so these switches, vertical switches on the board, need cleaning. Interestingly, this one's got a timer on it, the old clockwork timer, so presumably you can set that to switch it on. I don't know, haven't managed to find a user manual for it yet, so if you've ever seen the user manual for it, do let me know, be grateful. But found a couple of service manuals but no user manuals. So let's get it apart. The telescopic aerial is in quite good condition. I've opened it wide and there's no dents or dings or whatever in there. It's running off mains supply, but it has got batteries as well. So let's have a look at it from overhead and see what we're looking at here. So to get at the back of this, what we do is we push here and slide it up, and the back panel slides up like that to reveal space for the batteries. And if you push it a little bit more, you can get it past the little stops to get this back panel right off there. So there's a good old circuit board. Now in the manual that I've got for working on this, there are no dismantling instructions in English. They are all in German. I'm just looking at them, but there is a drive cord wiring, stringing, which is quite useful. So I'm going to have to make a bit of a guesswork about how to get this apart. There is only one screw that I can find here that seems to be holding this part into there. There might be one hidden underneath the telescopic aerial. Yes, there is. How about that? That was a good guess. And there's one also holding the telescopic aerial there. So let's get a flat blade on there. It's actually got a little lump of solder in there, just stopping that from coming apart. Let's get a slightly bigger flat blade. I can remember when these were first sold, the company I was working for at the time started selling these, and everyone said, oh, that looks like a fascinating radio, because it's got AM, FM, and I don't know whether it's, yeah, it's got FM, but it's also got a shortwave band as well, 49 to down to 19 meter shortwave band as well, so that's good. Interesting about the timer. Wish I've just turned it around. It's just clicking back. It's like the old kitchen clock timer. I don't know whether it goes ding at the end, but it hasn't done yet. Right, so that screw is unscrewing, but nothing's coming. Whether it's, so I think it's probably the bit of plastic that it screws to is still attached on the other side. So let's get this timer knob off. That's holding it in place. See if I can lever that one off. There we go. So now this whole circuit should come off like so. So there's the whole lot. So it could just be that this has been taken apart. The actual wiper itself is there, but crikey, it is a little bit on the dusty side. And don't know whether this is a collectible or not. It's a BBC Radio to 88 to 91 for music. So in the days of Ken Bruce and Terry Wogan probably issued those, little Furby. That might be a collectible item, I don't know. So there we have the radio out. Let's just gently remove that dust if we can. But there was a foam surround on there, but that's just basically gone. There's a bit of plastic embedded in there from somewhere. Let's just get that. Speaker cone itself sounds okay. This dust on here has been here for some time, I would think. That's as much as I'm going to get off at the moment. But there's the volume wiper. Let's put that down there. There's the volume wiper there. Seems to be very loose. In fact, I don't even know if it's actually doing anything. I would hazard a guess that possibly the little spring contact, oh, little label's fallen off. The spring contact which goes underneath it, I think, has probably come away and been lost. Let's just see if we can lift that speaker out of its little cubby. Yeah, there's the bit of plastic that the screw is turning round and round on. Let's see if we can take that off and hopefully glue it back on there. There it is. So another classic of old radios where they've probably been dropped and bits of plastic broken off, so that plastic has come off of a point down here somewhere. There it is. We can just see that there, so I should be able to glue that back in there. Right, so as we were working, we've got this top half here, and this looks like it's got mains potential on this circuit board. I think I'm going to rely on the power supply to do that. So we've got battery there to there. That's one battery terminal. Yeah, so it looks like 1, 2, 3, 5 batteries. That looks like negative, that looks like positive. So yeah, if we get our power supply, positive onto this one, negative onto that one. Make sure we're power switched off. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 volts. Powered on. And battery terminal is reading okay. See, that's working okay. Now that volume control is definitely not doing anything at all. I'm touching it with my finger at the back here. You can hear that sound coming up. I think this volume control is totally knackered, so I think we need to get this out of here and see what we can do about that. Now that's on a separate circuit board. Right, so the meter, everything seems to be held in place with little plastic clips. Sorry if I've just put my head in the way of the thing. And there's a circuit board there that's got plastic clips. There's another part of it. Yep. So compare it with this one. So in order to see whether this is working or not, let's get rid of that power cable for a minute. So it just went clip. Oh, it's probably the meter. So the terminals for the for the volume control are that one, and that one. So presumably those two are either end of the pot. Yeah, so it looks like there's two bits of it there, and the wiper is the middle one by the look of it. Yeah, so I think that's the three terminals. That one, and that one. That's the wiper, I think. So if we measure across there, meter on ohms across those two, and that reads 216 kiloohms, and the other one there, oh, hang on, that's only got 1, 2, so that could be the wiper then. Let's just check that. That's the volume, tone control. That reads 200k. So if this is the wiper and we move the control right at one end, if that control is working, it should go to a dead short. It says trying to hold it and move it with a little finger. So there is no change in that. So I think that control is definitely faulty. That is the bottom one there, that is the volume control. So I think what we'll do is we'll take that control out of there, have a look at it. Now I doubt very much we'd ever get a replacement for this. It looks like a control I've never seen before, or a type I've never seen before. Hopefully if we take it apart we can repair it. I think we need to desolder those 4 terminals. Yeah, pretty sure that's the wiper at that end. Let's just measure if there's a resistance. Perhaps it's got some sort of split in it. Tell you what, let's have a look at the actual circuit diagram. So that's going to be our tone control. Yeah, it's a 200k is the volume control, but it has actually got 4 terminals. It's interesting. We've got the resistor there, R64, with a tap in the middle of it, and also a tap there, which is the wiper. Right, so I'm just going to start by desoldering these connections. Get some fresh desoldering braid. This one at this end's being particularly awkward. The solder is not flowing into the braid. Start with another fresh bit of braid. Right, I think I've cleared it enough. What I like about these old radios is that the circuit board, whilst it's a printed circuit board, they're all designed and drawn by hand. So now we've released it, we're undoing the solder. Hopefully we should just be able to push it through. Yeah, that ends through and that ends through. So there we have our center tapped potentiometer. Let's bring the other camera in here so we can have a closer look at that. Here is the volume control from this Grundig radio, which has got its 3 tappings on it. So this should be the 200k there to there, and that looks about halfway. So we'll just measure that on those two, and we've got 218k, and to there we've got 112 on that one, and to there, and that one to there, 100, 112. So yep, so the actual resistance part of it is okay, which is thankful. Now this part here appears to be the wiper, and if I measure between there and there, it says open. If I measure it between there and there, it says open. If I move the pot up and down, appreciate you can't see my meter, there is definitely no connection between the wiper and that. So is the wiper, which I think it is, if we look inside this, if I get a little bit closer, and I'll see if I can get this in a little bit more focus. What we've got there is we've got the main track. Let's see if I can get something fine to point to it for you. So we've got the main track down here. Let's move that bit of software out of the way. And the wiper track, which is this bit up here. So I think if I can get my meter just inside that track on this end, we can just see if we've actually got a continuity, which we have. So yeah, the continuity between this tag at the end and that wiper track. So the fault must be that the bit that wipes between this outer wiper track and the inner resistance track is not making connection. I could just spray it with cleaner, but I suspect that is not going to fix it. I'm just wondering if I can very gingerly take this to pieces. I think the whole track, etc., is held in by these little plastic clips at the end here. So if I can just gently tease that out of there. Yeah, so that one's come out a little bit, so, and this one hopefully will do the same. Yep, it is. So now just turning that up just slightly and lifting it out. Yeah, so there we can see inside there is the actual little metal wiper that goes between the two. So there's the two tracks. So I think we'll just give it a little clean with some ISO on the track. Alright, yep, so there's the other trackers still in there, which I'm not know whether I want to try and take that out of there. All that tease out of there. That's free. Tweezers. There's the tweezers gone. Let's see, can we? No, I can't get that out of there. Or does it come in the back end of that? Looks like it's... All the catches are all bent over that way. I'm wondering if it will... There's a gap at the end there. So if I lifted that little piece up here and slid it along sideways, without breaking it. I think this is all metal actually. Yeah, I think this is all just a piece of metal. Let's try getting it with a pair of pliers that might pull it a bit better. Yep. So I was right, it is coming along there. That's it's definitely all loose now, that plate. But which way does it go? Does it come out from underneath there? I think it comes out this way. Like so, yep. Gently tease that out of there. Right, let's give that a clean with some ISO as well. A little bit of plastic there, I hope that's not significant. An actual wiper bit. Okay, let's just now see what this wiper bit, yeah, that's in there. Now, will that come out of there? Yeah, if I just spring this apart, look, hopefully that wiper bit will just drop out. The plastic will, and the metal bit is there. So, let's just wipe that off. Okay, let's just give it a little bit more tension by bending it around a little bit more. So there's the plastic bit of the wiper, that's okay. So, trouble is I didn't see which way round it came out of there. I don't know whether it makes a lot of difference. That should go in that way. I would think if that's the top, that's the metal bit, so it would have to go in that way. We've got two bits of wiper. We've got a metal piece and a little, like a little, probably a carbon little stub. And the metal piece, if I run that along there, as opposed to the carbon piece, yeah, I think the carbon piece would go carbon to carbon, wouldn't it? Yeah. That would tend to be about right. So we put that in there. Actually, I wonder if we can just spring and drop that into. Hang on. It's got to be that way, isn't it? Let's see if we'll take the metal piece out and let's get this plastic piece fit back in. We'll probably put the metal piece in afterwards. I thought it came out. Ah, of course it sits in there like so, doesn't it? There we go. And then the metal piece goes in on top like so. Yeah, it's round the wrong way. It needs to be round the other way, doesn't it? Push that together and then slide it along, and that should click down there. But that wiper is not holding it in the right place. Let's just take that out again. Yeah. You know, it has to just sit further back along that plate. Like so, there we are. And then it clips in to that end. Under there. And gently tease it. Under there. Not quite. It's not quite in there. looks and feels a bit better. So what we do now, first off make sure we've still got a valid resistance, 200k, and on the wiper no. If I press it down, 67, 34, it is working, but only if I press it. So I think, as we now know, that we can just take the wiper bit out on its own accord. We're just opening this up slightly. Let's use my pliers to open that up. Somehow it needs to be fixed in there, I would have thought. Is there a little, I think there's a little catch there, and I think that's where that little white bit of plastic has come from. Yeah. That should be being held in there, and this little bit of plastic here that fell out was probably across there holding it in place. This little bit of plastic, I think. Yeah, I'm looking at it now, it looks certainly more likely that that little bit of plastic sat over that like that there and held that in place. Yep, so let's give this little bit of plastic a little bit of a clean off, because it's got a bit of muck on it. And then I think we'll get the good old super glue on it. This is where we find my super glue is completely dried up. Good old bit of bent paper clip which we can push down the hole. Just break off the glue. Yeah, super glue is still liquid inside. Probably a little bit too much. We'll squeeze it together and we'll hold it together. Thankfully these tweezers are nylon, they don't tend to stick to super glue stuff. Or should I say super glue doesn't tend to stick to them. And we'll just squeeze the wiper down there as well. So, as you can probably tell, this is not the first volume control I've repaired. Certainly one like this is the first one I've repaired. But years ago I used to work for a company called Vision Hire. And Vision Hire had a wonderful policy for us engineers that if you could save money on buying spare parts from head office out of your allocation, your allocation was given each month by the area manager, and say for instance you had £500 and you managed to only spend £250 of that £500 that month, then a half of that saving, that 250, so £125, was put into a pot that at the end of the working year, or somewhere towards the end of the working year, we had a big party paid for by the government, by the head office spare parts fund. So needless to say, we did a lot of thinking outside the box by taking volume controls to pieces and repairing them, swapping valves around. So in an old Philips or Pi TV we had three CDA valves, red, green and blue, and if one of them started to go weak you took the other two out and replaced it with two other weak ones, so you had three weak ones, and then tweaked it up a bit so the levels were the same. So that then gave you two reasonably good valves to go in. So most of the time we never changed valves, we just swapped them round and tweaked things. Customers didn't know. It worked. This is all rental stuff, I hasten to add. Ah, well that obviously didn't glue because the little bit of plastic's just come off on my tweezers. Did the metal glue by itself? Will that stay? No. Okie dokie, so that was a dismal failure, wasn't it? So I think we'll go to plan B, which is we'll put that back in there. And squeeze it down, hopefully. Nope, okay, we dropped it. Bumblefinger strikes again. We'll try again. Put that in there, and what we'll do is we'll get hold of that in my handy dandy helping hands, just to hold it in place. Yep, and he knocks it and drops it again. So let's try a third time. And then we'll put that piece of plastic on top. And we'll turn on the soldering iron. And what we'll do, hopefully, is we'll very carefully melt that piece of plastic back into place. Just picking it up again the right way around. It's very... Oh, there we go. Like so. And we'll just take a tiny little slither of hot melt glue. And hopefully when that sets, that'll be strong enough to just run the wiper. I may need to bend it down just a little bit because it's obviously bent it a bit too far, but I should be able to pop then that back into there. It's been an interesting little exercise, hasn't it? Because if it don't work, we're stuffed. Because whilst I've got a few odd sliding controls, I've got nothing this small, this size, that will work. Click that back into place there. Yep. So fingers crossed, let's just see, it's still a bit tacky. Yeah, I bought a new meter for the bench. There it is up there. It's a Uni T 804. It's second hand from a university, and it's supposed to have USB connectivity, which it does have, but the drivers are all for Windows 7 and they won't work on Windows 10. I found various drivers, but it won't talk to computer, so I shall live without that problem until I find somebody with one of those that might work. Right, so I'm just going to hold this now. Let's go back to this one. Just going to hold it now and just bend that down just slightly. Let's see if we can get that wiper back into there. So it has to go that way round, and the most flexible bit is the bit at the top. So let's put that in that way. Let's see if we can gently tease that. It's going to be awkward. Right, I've got it in. And it's sliding along. So let's just see if it's sliding along and giving us a resistance. So from that end to the wiper, and we've got 100k down there. Oh, has it gone off the track? Hang on, I think it has. Yeah, it's definitely not right. Oh, that's better. Yeah, because I obviously let's try again. 103k at that point. 214k at that point. 211. Oh, I might just take it right down this end. It should be virtually 0. 44. 30. Yeah, it seems to be working. It seems to be working. Right. Let's get this one back into here. Is it that way around or that way? It's got to be that way around, surely. That way, yes it is. It's all clipped in there nicely. Let's just use my magic hands to hold that in place. Oh, we resolder it. Okay, let's just have a look at that edge. Yeah, we connected that one. Nice little bit of soldering on there. Now we'll just wiggle this around here a little bit. There we are. Meat is held in place, and that little black thing should go. On there. Right. So far so good. Let's get power back on. We now have a working volume control. Yay!
Sharing a mission, written in ink, we wear the distance of life and our path did not.
I think we can safely say that the next fault is cleaning these switches.
And now I can't seem to let it go. There are the days when it's down pit and background harm I must know. But there's days when it's a sharp knife cutting deep into my throat, my core. I try to distance myself, to forget, to drown out with the noise and crowd.
Right.
But nothing works.
So far so good. Well, actually one thing, we haven't checked the tone control.
Try to fix, to heal the wound, to amend the broken piece of my soul, but the pain persists. It won't relect like a fire that burns out of control. It's not physical.
Maybe we'll just put some cleaner down that control, because we've got to clean up these other controls, these switches. So let's turn the power off. Otherwise it's not looking in too bad condition, but to fix these controls, these switches are well hidden. I think probably the best way of getting at those is, I'm not sure if we can easily take the buttons off. Now I think, yeah, they've got a little split, little buttons. Let's go back to this one for a minute. So you should be able to just see in there, there's a little split in that switch. If you put a screwdriver in and twist, it should open it up enough to release them. Yeah. So rather than trying to yank them or lever them off, try and, whenever you're doing these sort of switches, try and find the little split just enough to get them off. Hopefully they haven't been broken in the past and somebody's gone and glued them back on, which has been the case on quite a few radios I've fixed over the years, or tried to fix. One radio came in, it was even had the batteries were glued in because they'd lost the battery compartment cover. Right, so the only switch there that's different is the on-off switch, which is at the end. So having got into there, let's just give that a bit of a blowout with some aero duster. Now, are they all? Can't quite see if they're all enclosed. Most of them are, and that usually makes cleaning them very much more difficult, because if the switches, as you can see in there, bit difficult. I haven't got the camera really in the right place, but you can just see in there the switches themselves are a little bit, they're all plastic, they're all encapsulated. That means getting some cleaning fluid in there is going to be a bit difficult. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this circuit board off of here, or take the front tuning cover panel off and see if I can get at them better that way. I think that's probably the best way of doing it. I'll come back to you after I've got it apart, because I think it's going to be, I've got to be so careful, because I've got this drive cord here. Even though I've got the instructions on how to do that, I'd rather not do that if I can help it. I think this panel here, the actual log panel, like so many things on Grundigs, it just pops in. It's clipped in place. Yeah, it looks like it's clipped in place at the end. So hopefully, yeah. Yeah, that's just a little plastic. There's like a little nylon thread to hold the tuning cursor in place at the bottom. Let me just see if I can just gently tease it out, like so. Yeah, in fact actually it's taking that battery indicator with it. There we go. Yeah, that's better. Right, so yes, now you can see these switches are all encapsulated. Having said that, they have got like enough of a flexibility. They have got some flexibility in there. If I can just get the really fine pointed screwdriver in there, I may be able to just lift that up enough without breaking it. There, look. Just to be able to get the nozzle of the spray in there. That one probably not. This one probably not, because that looks all encapsulated. I don't think there's any way into any of these. Oh, hang on, no, I'll tell a lie. This has got, it's just plastic on plastic there. There is a gap there. So I might be able to tease that open enough there. Like so. Let's make a little hole in it. Just see. Just down that end, I just lifted that last little bit of plastic up there. So maybe I can get the nozzle of my service oil in there. Yeah, it's definitely gone in there. Okay, so let's see if we can do the same at this end. Just don't want to lift it so far that it goes springing apart. Right. Turn the nozzle round. Yeah. That's your switch one done. this one. Right. Let's hope that that's helped. Let's put the dial back on just for now. Right, connect some power up to it again. Power on.
You really good, do not miss that. There's a lot of peace.
Oh, that's grand.
Better states, better live in a better place, preparation of better days, generation of better ways. Thank you.
It doesn't look like the tone control is working. That's my LED lamps are definitely causing problems there. Let's turn them right off.
And Philip had every intention to pillage us all. This isn't my history, nah, this story is ours.
Well, FM setting seems to be working good. long wave.
Run for Western Europe at 22 hours UTC on 11,800 kilohertz. Our listeners in North America, the East Coast, can listen to us at 0 hours
There we
UTC.
go. So, put some lights back on. So, apart from the tone control, which I think is the same problem as we had with the volume control, is that the little metal pieces come off. I think I can take that out without having to take the whole control out and put that to rights. But I'm going to do that tomorrow because it's now getting quite late, past my bedtime as normal time, so I'll be back when I've done that, or I'll do that tomorrow. So see you after the break. Right, I've had a good night's sleep, so let's see if we can tackle this tone control. So we've got to take this little panel back out again. Hopefully I won't have to desolder the actual control out. I should now, with my experience of the... Let's just take that little thing off there for a minute. My experience of the volume control, once we get this panel to a workable position, I should hopefully be able to just sort of push the plastic apart and tease out the wiper like so, and out she comes. And as before, the little metal piece is still inside. There she goes. So this piece is just slightly different. In that we can see that it's actually got three tongues, two wipers, one on either side and one which is like a spring, presumably to give it tension to rub against. Let's give that a clean up and then let's see if we can fix that back into the plastic piece like we did the other one just there with a bit of plastic, but there's no bit of plastic inside. What is there? Is that a piece of plastic? Plenty of dirt. And fluff, but no bits of plastic that I can see. So if there was a bit of plastic, yeah, I think it's, no. Let's get a little old toothbrush in there. Ah, there's a bit of plastic. There it is. So if we can tap it out. There it is, it's come out. So there's our tiny little bit of plastic. Bring the old camera down here a little bit closer. And let's first off give the wiper a little bit of a clean. Some ISO. Similarly, the plastic there. Bring in the old faithful grips. So that's there. And just clean off that little bit of plastic. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit better on this and that. Autofocus. The trouble is with autofocus, as soon as I move in front of it, it's probably going to go off. Maybe, maybe not. We might be lucky. Do with some optical help here myself. Where's my glass? It's amazing how I did the other one without putting my magnifiers on. I think it's around the other way. Yep, dropped it. Dropped it again. And again. Right. We'll just try our best to hold it in place whilst we melt it. Ah. Okay. Looks like we're going to have to hold it in place. So we're going to need 6 hands. And then a tiny fragment of hot melt glue. This is hot melt glue that I've used before and then had to break up. So just bits that I've taken out of an old thing that I repaired. And hopefully that will do the job. Now there's no guarantee, obviously. Oops. Screwdriver out of the way. That should autofocus back in. So there's no guarantee that this is actually going to last for any length of time. But hopefully now I've got it in the right place. I think I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure on here. There we go. Gently smooth that over that. It will do the job for the sake of the fact that this radio is really going to be nothing more than a museum type piece. I'm never really going to use this in the real world on a regular basis, but I mean, once the tone control is adjusted, it's adjusted. It's not going to be needed to be moved a lot. But it's nice to have something like this in the old museum. So now we've got to get that back into there. Let's just check this, the slot. Let's just give it a press a couple of times. It seems to be holding. Use a toothbrush to go along that slot. And clean that. Get that into the right place. Okay. I'm just getting it onto one edge so I can bend this plastic out of the way. Hopefully pop it in. I didn't actually remember which way round it came out. We'll try one way. If necessary, we'll have to take it out and put it back in. It's not going to go in easily. goes in. I think I got it around the right way because it's got like a little notch for the middle. It's catching in the middle, which is what I expect it should have. So, with a bit of luck and following wind, that should now pop back into place there. Switch cover onto there. Like so. Let's get some power on it.
So, after a good 6 weeks of Olympians, Paralympians dominating our TV and radio sets with their athletic prowess, tomorrow morning the general public gets a go, alongside some of those world-class athletes, live on the BBC as the 43rd Great North Run kicks off in Newcastle with a record 6.
We are fixed. That's good news, isn't it, eh? So all I've got to do now is clean it up, get rid of the rest of the dust, put it all back together. Oh, I've got to glue that piece into here that it screws onto. Obviously get rid of all the internal dust as well and put it back together. So I will come back to you once I've done that. Right, so I've cleaned up the cabinet, tidied that all up nicely. It's looking quite good now actually. Got rid of all the dust that I can get rid of on the actual main chassis itself, which is good. Using a combination of foamy cleanser for the cabinet and an aero duster and a good old brush, we've got everything done. I've super glued the plastic back into here, so I thought I would show you the reassemble. The only one thing I haven't done, just notice I haven't cleaned the top part of that. Weird. Thought I'd done it all. Is the cleaning of the control knobs. These are pretty grubby, so what I would normally do in this respect is just to get them like this, give them a dose of the old Service-Oil foamy cleanser. You just need to be a little bit careful with this if you use it. It works really well, but it can sometimes take decals writing off, like the lines on here. I remember using this once on a cabinet that had lines marked on it and sprayed it and the lines just disappeared, much to the manufacturer's annoyance. But just give these a little squirt with the old foamy cleanser, get a bit of a cleaning cloth, give them a rub over, and they normally come up fairly quickly and nice and bright. This has got a red blob in the middle indicating it's the power control. Doubtless there are loads of other cleaning products you could use. That just happens to be the one that I use. It's not a paid for recommendation or anything like that. It's just one that I prefer to use. And it dries quite quickly, doesn't leave any residual stuff on it. Good for cleaning the workbench too. So there we are on there. So they're all done. So we can pop those back onto here. The power knob was on that one. Ah no, just need to make sure it's got an off-center control. So probably best if we actually put this back into the unit first. There's an area that I didn't clean. Look at that. Thought I'd done everything. Let's have a little look at that. You can see it's dirty, so I'm just going to give it a little spray with foamy cleanser. That's all you need to do. And if necessary, get the old ubiquitous toothbrush, go into the little slots that you can't get your cleaning rag into. Comes out nice. Right, now because these controls that we've repaired are going to connect to the electrical knobs which are on the front, we need to get these into the right position first. What I would normally do is move those to the inner position, do the same for these. Yeah, so when we put that into there, they engage with those in the right place. Let's just see if we can get that done. Now those knobs have moved up. Let's get them back over to here. Yep, so they're engaged correctly. Now we can put the screws back in. I'm pretty sure that's all in there correct, yeah. Two short, one long, so let's put the long ones in first. One long one in there. Hopefully that super glue will hold it in place. Remember the other one was underneath the antenna. One in there. The short one we didn't actually need to take out at all, but we did. That's the one that connects the telescopic aerial to the circuit through that there. Now the knobs, as we can see, the off center goes to the back, so just gently push those in. And I've done it round the wrong way. That's the on-off switch, that one. Typical. Remember, open up the little split just to lift it off. Let's get that. The ground input. Interesting that this has got the DIN socket on the back, and it actually says that it's for the symbols. We've got one for the turntable and one for the tape deck, so presumably there is one lower impedance, one for the tape, higher impedance for the turntable. Don't intend to test that. If it works, it works. It's the radio I was more interested in, but I can't see any reason why it wouldn't work. And then the timer knob, which I didn't clean either, but it's actually quite clean. There's no orientation for that, so let's just pop it back with a... I guess that's a sleep timer. Again, if I had the manual, user manual, I'd know. Power on. That's all right.
Journey, it opened 3 large parachutes to slow its descent before landing in the desert of New Mexico. But instead of having NASA's Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams on board,
Back to fully working condition.
The astronauts had watched it undock
Pleased
and
with that.
depart from the International Space Station.
So yeah, it must be. No, it's not a sleep timer. That's a turn on timer. Weird. Never come across that before. I've had sleep timers, but not a timer that turns it off until the timer runs out. Perhaps it's an alarm clock.
Culture Minister has resigned after
yes,
appointing
could
his
be.
mistress as an
Thinking about it, let's turn that down for a minute. Put the lights back on. Because, yes, I just remembered. Let's get rid of that for the time being. We've got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. That's an hour. Goes up to 120. That's 2 hours. So why would you have a 2-hour on timer? Because you'd have to wake up 2 hours before you want to use this as an alarm. How weird. Ah! Now I've turned the radio off there. It's now a sleep timer. Haha, clever. So you turn it off, you set the timer, and that gives you a sleep timer. So when that gets to the end, it goes off. So yes, it is a sleep timer. Sleep timer when the power's turned off, on timer when the power's turned on. There you go. It works. That's all I worry about, is that it is working. Let's go to long wave. 1500, 200 kilohertz. 1500 meters. I still work in the old school.
See myself struggling a bit, but I know in the moment when I was out there I couldn't do it anymore, and I was fighting.
Yeah. Medium wave, 693 and 909. Yeah, definitely. That's radio, whatever it is, 5 live or something. 693909. So there we are. Hope this has been an enjoyable little excursion from the norm. We managed to fix the 2 controls which were broken, give it a clean up, restore it back to a working condition. Thanks very much for watching. See you on the next one.